This is Fender's new answer to all that pedal tap dancing that you've been doing. Let's check it out. Fender have been absolutely no strangers to the pedal and digital modelling world over the past few years, especially with the launch of their ToneMaster Pro, which was their all-in-one amp and pedal in a box solution for guitarists. And their pedal range over the past few years have been incredibly popular too. But now joining the ranks and certainly making pedal fanatics' lives a little bit easier, this is the brand new Switchboard. To put it simply, for anyone who is unaware of what a pedal switcher or a pedal looper may be, to clear it up first of all, it's not a looper as you may think, that it's a pedal that you can record into and play back. Essentially what it is a device that you can hook a bunch of pedals up to, and you can control them from that unit, and you're able to do configurations of pedals that you wouldn't even be able to do unless you had something like 4 or 5 legs. There are quite a few features to go through, so I'm just going to dive in with those just in a moment. But if there is a particular setting that you do want to see for the Switchboard, whether that be one of its 2 modes that it can go into, either loop or preset modes, this video has been split up into chapters, so you can check them out below if you do want to skip to a certain part. And all the sounds you're going to be hearing today, I'll be using the Ibanez AZ42P1 here in metallic Prussian blue. That's going through our Supro Blackmagic hooked up with a Shure SM57 and an SM27, and you can see the pedals that I'm using here as well. I've just kind of thrown them into the Switchboard. So let's dive right in. So first of all, let's talk about how you go about setting up the new Fender Switchboard. Now, as you can see, I've integrated a few different pedals here in my own pedal board with the Switchboard, but luckily enough for you and for me, I have another one here that I can show you all the inputs and outputs, basically what's going on here. So unlike a traditional pedal board, I'll just move to this camera so you can see all the outs here. But unlike a traditional pedal board, you'll see here that these pedals aren't actually all hooked up together. They're not going in a chain. Essentially what they're doing is they're all going into these individual send and returns into the back of the switcher. And they're actually staying on the whole time as well, because essentially what you're doing is you're kind of bringing in a signal with the way that you've set up the switcher, and whether that be multiple ones at one time or just one at a time as well, the switcher is kind of controlling the bypass of those and what sounds you're going to be hearing. So the way that I've set up this Switchboard here is it's got 5 loops all going in. I've got a bunch of different pedals that I've got connected up. So looking through the chain, what we're looking at here is, if I actually move this just back to loop mode, which we'll touch on in just a second as well. But for example, I have an Ibanez Tube Screamer here. I've set that up to loop 1, so it's plugged in just in the top. The input of the pedal is going to the send, and the output of the pedal is going to the return. So as you'll hear just now, here is just the clean signal kind of all going through the Switchboard. And you'll see when I press foot switch number 1 there, that's going to bring in the Tube Screamer. And you can bring that in and out just as you would see fit as any other pedal. It's, it's like pressing the button there, but this gives you full flexibility on where it's going to go. It does come much more sort of impressive when you move over to the preset mode, but we'll get onto that in just a little bit. It's worth noting as well with the Switchboard that there are a couple of additional IOs that you get control of with it. I'll just show you again on this camera here. So you can actually hook up an expression pedal to the switchboard, which would just sit obviously to the side or on your board or anything. What that's going to do is it's actually going to control an inbuilt volume pedal that is in this pedal. And it just makes things obviously a little bit easier. Just if you do have a plain expression pedal, you're going to be able to bring that in and out, and you can actually choose where it goes in the position of the signal chain too, which again I'll touch on a little bit more when we jump into loop mode. But then to round out a couple of the other IOs also, there is this foot switch out just right under the expression pedal, which is really, really handy because it actually does allow you to control any sort of setting that you would have on an amp. So say for example that you want to control the reverb or the tremolo on your amp, or even a channel switch. You can hook a cable up to that and then tell the switchboard what to do, and then there you go, that's you got full control over your amplifier. And what you would do is you just use this button which says FS here, that's going to control what that does. And that can determine whether it is a TRS jack, and you can control whether it's the tip or the ring that that is controlling. For all you MIDI heads out there as well, it does have the ability to do that. That could be kind of anything that you want it to be if you are in that line at all. Also, it has a USB-C, which I imagine will provide further firmware updates for this unit. And it runs just off of a 9-volt adapter, which actually comes with the switcher itself, which is pulling a 500 milliamp draw, so a little bit more than you would expect from a traditional pedal. It's worth noting as well, before we jump into actually what the switchboard's doing, you do have the option to send this in stereo as well with this little switch just right there, which you would use a TRS split cable coming out of the output there. So if you want to go into 2 amps, or if you want to go into a PA system or something like that, then you have the option for that. But let's check out our first proper mode, and that is loop mode. So as I mentioned, loop mode is the ability to bring in the pedals as you see fit. Each one of the switches are going to be corresponding to an individual pedal. So as I mentioned, number 1, that'll bring in my overdrive. Number 2, that'll bring in the Friedman BEOD there. Something like number 5, I've set up to the Walrus Audio Slow there. And I have actually been able to change all the individual colors as well. So if you do have anything customizable that you want to make them stand out that little bit easier to you, then you can do that obviously quite easily. Where a lot of the magic comes in with loop mode is actually when you get into the editor. If you make notice on the screen here, you'll notice that it's not going up in the exact order that you would not expect numbers to. Because 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, and that's due to the way that I've actually set up all my loops on the back here, just to do where the pedals have actually been. So what you can do in loop mode is you can change the order of the signal chain and where the volume pedal comes in if you are going to be using that. So what you do with that is you press foot switch number 5 and the FS one together. That'll then go into the editor mode, and what you can do is use the encoder wheel here just to change the position of where you need the pedal to be. So not necessarily you have to have the exact setup that you're going to be doing on the switchboard in this. Because say for example, I want my delay before my modulation there. I'll keep that off. That's us now got onto there. I can bring that in. That's our delay just before there, and then moving on to the chorus will activate that. But then again, if I do want to position that back to where it was, it's just as simple as pressing on it and then moving the wheel over and selecting its status as on or off for how you see fit. Alternatively, what you can do as well, which is a bit more of an interactive sort of way of setting that up, is when you are in the loop editor modes, as I mentioned, you get to that just by pressing foot switch 5 and FS at the same time until you get the indicator there. You can highlight the ring that goes around your loops there, press that in, and what you'll actually get is you'll get this plain sort of loop order setup, which is really, really handy. So if you do want to do it by actually pressing in terms of order, so there's our Tube Screamer. There is our, I'll need to turn this down as well so I don't blow our heads off. There's the BEOD there. Now let's do the, That's our delay. There's a modulation. And then that's us set it up just like that. Now you can do that if you want to. I found it quite easy just actually doing it with the encoder wheel, but at least it gives you some options if you do need them. Within this mode as well, you do have control over the two buffers, the input and the output buffer that the switchboard has got, and whether you want them on or off individually. Also the ability to control, as I previously mentioned with the IOs, what the foot switch button is doing, whether that be a ring or a sleeve. That's pulling, that'll depend on, you know, the setup that you're going to be putting it into, whether it's an effect or a channel switcher. And of course from this menu as well, you can save particular signal chains or presets that can then be used over into bank mode. And would you look at that? There's a great segue for us to move over to bank mode. Bank mode is where the Fender switchboard gets a little bit more sophisticated. Don't worry, it's not too much to get your head around, but this is where things start to get a bit more multifaceted and you start kind of bringing in a lot more sounds at once. So for first thing to touch on is for you to get out of loop mode into bank mode is you press and hold foot switch 5 here. That's then going to move us on to bank modes. Now, you'll see from here, just on the screen, that I've got this favorite 1, preset 2, preset 3, preset 4. Now you can change these to anything that you want to name them as. This is just what they come as default when you've actually put them into the board itself. So to go through all these sounds very, very quickly, I'll show you what's kind of going on just under. I've set this up just in a way that, you know, you can kind of get a lot out of it, and it can kind of cover you for whatever you would really need it to. So number 1 is just our clean signal, and that is the sound from the amp, but I've got the chorus and the Echoplex running as well. So two is actually just the Tube Screamer at the moment for this sound. Nice and dry just for our rhythm. Number 3 is where things get a little bit more high octane, because the BEOD, the Tube Screamer, the Echoplex is activated for this. And I think the chorus might be on as well. Just the 3 there. But then moving over to preset 4, this is more of a kind of ambient tone where I'm including the Walrus Audio Slow and the Echoplex here. Now, of course, you can set them up however you want to, and I've seen a lot of people who use switchers in the sense that each bank that they're going to be using, so say bank 1 here, that's going to be just for the first song in the set that you need a few sounds for. Then what you would do is just use the FS button, which actually has the up and the down on 5 there. You notice these will be changing our banks. This could be your second song. You've got another 4 sets of sounds all kind of incorporated in, and you can do that for as many as you want to, because there is actually 100 banks that you can set into here. So loads and loads of room for you to preset all your own sounds into it. So to even very quickly show you how to set up one of the banks here. So we're sitting on bank 2. You'll notice that all of the presets are empty. So I've highlighted preset number 1 here. Press foot switch 5 and FS together. This will then bring up a loop editor for that individually. So say for example, let's bring in that's our delay, that's our reverb, that's our Tube Screamer there. Cool. And then go back. I'll save that. Again, you can name it something if you want to. But then that's us just got a sound set to there, which is our 3 pedals, the Tube Screamer, the Echoplex, and then the slow. And of course, if you want to do another one, you just press whichever one you want to there, activate whichever pedals you would like. Let's just do it at random, see what we get. We'll save that. This has got preset 2. very similar sounds that I set up there, to be fair. I think I ended up just adding the chorus instead. But it shows you the flexibility and shows that it could really work for whatever you need it to, obviously, if you are running about 5 pedals into this. There is actually another little cool point that you can do with the bank mode, and that's, for example, you want to set an individual level per preset. So say, for example, you want a bit of a volume boost when you go to your lead tone, or say, for example, your clean has got quite a heavy compressor on it and you need to adjust that. What you can do when you are in the edit menu of a preset, so if we run the bank, preset 2 is the one that I just created. So you can actually see it, I'll move my hand there. If you highlight the volume pedal, not only can you change the location of it, but when you click that again, and when you've initiated its status on, you will get a little alert that says set level here. That'll then give you this volume wheel. Just means that you can control that, and it just means that all your dynamics are all going to be completely present. You're not going to get a shock when you move over to something that's way louder than your last preset. Super easy to do. And actually, while we're here as well, it is worth having a look into the menus, which you can access by highlighting these 3 little lines up the top here with the encoder wheel. Gives you the ability to obviously save, you can rename things, and actually the favorite section is something that I want to touch on as well with the switchboard, where say for example you've got a preset that you've made up, whether that be whatever tone, whatever pedals are bringing into, you can actually save them as favorites and then you can recall them back quite easily. So say for example you do have a set lead tone that you use that uses a combination of pedals, you're able to mark that as a favorite, bring it into any new bank that you want to, and it just makes it a lot easier and a lot quicker for you to set up new patches. And that about covers it really for the Fender switchboard. There is a lot of other kind of little things that you can do with it, especially if you're using MIDI or depending on the configuration of your pedal board or the foot switch that you're using or anything to control an amp. But in terms of a pedal switcher, it is quite a good jumping off point, I feel, for a lot of people. You can get ones that are really, really in-depth and really quite complicated, whereas this one, it just allows you to plug your pedals in, get an idea of what the sort of switching world looks like. And again, the main thing for it is to allow you to stop the tap dancing and to get all those tones just in an instant when you need them. But tell us what you think in the comments down below about the new Fender switchboard. Is this something that you're excited and you're going to be incorporating into your boards? While you're down there as well, letting us know. Give us a like, give us a subscribe if you have liked the video at all. It really does help. But until next time, I've been Kieran, and this is the brand new Fender Switchboard pedal switcher. Have a great day.